Nerds Nation? Welcome to the Effin' Nerds podcast with the most dynamic duo in all of podcasting. I'm Nick Denizio, and sitting across from me is my dude, Martin Moreno.
What is up, bro?
How we doing?
Good, good.
Today we are recapping The Mandalorian Chapter 11, The Heiress. But before we get started, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, please check back each week as we try to upload new content for you guys to listen to. So Chapter 11, The Heiress, finds Mando, Baby Yoda, and the Frog Lady crash landing on the planet Trask. Once there, Mando is led to a Quarren sea captain who offers to take him by boat to other Mandalorians.
Quarren.
Yeah, Quarren.
Okay.
Is that what I said?
I thought you said. I thought for a second you said he has to acquire a sea captain. That's what I thought you said.
No.
Okay,
like Quarren, I guess, is the species.
Like
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. We're on the same page.
We're on the same page. We're on the same page here. So this was a very action-packed episode. So I guess we could just kick it off first by doing the cold opening.
Yes.
What'd you think of it?
Cold opening was standard. It was cool. You know, very similar to episode 2, where we picked up right from where episode 1 took off. It was a similar situation here, where we pretty much picked up right where episode 2 left us off, which with essentially Mando and Baby Yoda taking the Frog Lady to Trask to meet up with her husband. We had some nice little fun elements of, you know, kind of again showcasing the fact of how good of a pilot Mando is.
Yes.
You know, he had to pretty much land this thing, avoided the burnout or the burn up on re-entry, so to speak.
Yep.
And then we got a little fun moment of like the thing blows up right before it lands and it falls into the water.
Yes.
And fun fact, that Mon Calamari, which was there kind of taking care of that port where he landed, that was partially controlled by Janina Gavankar.
Which is pretty awesome.
For the people who don't know, she has a pretty big presence in Star Wars in recent years. She was Iden Verso, the leader of Inferno Squadron from the Battlefront 2 game,
right?
Which you played a lot more than Nick. Nick handles the video game part.
Yeah. I actually never played the campaign on that though. I never had the chance to really get into it because Battlefront 2 had like a lot of issues.
So then I played more than you did.
You probably played more than I did, but I remember when Battlefront 2 came out and it had like a lot of issues kind of coming out the gate, and then I think it was last year they like did like some massive update, and the game was like it got like it was awesome. It was awesome to play.
Really?
So yeah. But I still haven't played the campaign yet, but I know like a lot of people liked.
Yeah, like I played a lot of it. My brother Andre, like you know, he's a big gamer too. He already finished it and he really loved it. So yeah, it was cool to have her, which is kind of like a Star Wars thing, you know, like when you think of like, you know, Craig or Tom Hardy, how they kind of cameoed as stormtroopers, how people just, again with Simon Pegg also, how people just love to kind of come in here and have a little small part, even though you can't tell it's them.
Yeah.
We're getting that as well in the series, so that was fun to like find out about.
Right. We are going to get into the director. Obviously, this episode is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, but one of the things that I noticed, especially when researching this episode, is how much of the cold open, was a nice homage to Apollo 13. And it's almost like shot for shot, like you know how when the ship is burning up on re-entry, and you get like the inside of the ship and it's starting to like melt, like sweat and melt. Yeah, the same exact shots from Apollo 13. It's so cool that she did a nice homage to her father. So that was really cool. But yeah, other than that, it was a pretty sweet opening. And then as we kind of get into the story, I love how there's like that. It's almost like an AT-AT crane that just picks the ship up. Yeah. I thought that was a nice little touch.
And that color palette.
Yeah.
Oh, that cold gray color palette, which I am a fucking sucker for. It was so nice. I loved it. Like that, like when we get that, like you said, the wide shot of that crane picking it up, and you can just tell it's like this cold, murky, mucky kind of world.
Right.
It's like a fish port, so to speak. So I was like, I fucked with this real hard.
Yeah,
I was all in. And I like how I didn't notice that. I like that you mentioned that because again, that's one of those things how we talk about a lot of how you want to pay homage to something, but if it works a story, like if it fits the story, it works so much better.
Yes.
And it felt like a natural situation for me, and I didn't even pick that up. So the fact that it was a direct homage, that makes it that much more like exciting.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so as we move along in the episode, we get this very heartwarming reunion between the Frog Lady and her husband, which is really cool to see. It's a nice payoff from Chapter 10. And then Mando basically gets led to a Quarren sea captain who basically is like, I will ferry you to find other Mandalorians. And lo and behold, it's a fucking double cross.
That's right. This is where I double cross you.
First rule of double cross. You don't announce the double cross before you double cross. It's not even a rule because it is so obvious.
You know, just didn't see it coming. What was crazy about it too was how this dude just like fucking yeets Baby Yoda into the mouth of this like sea creature
of the Kraken.
Yeah, of like the Kraken, and it's like, oh, like holy shit! Like obviously he's gonna be fine, but still it was still an intense moment to see that happen.
She must be hungry. Oftentimes we'll feed her in the early morning, but we missed that because we were going out of food. No!
Just to kind of echo what you said, the heartwarming moment between the frog lady and her husband. I was making a joke. I'm like, bro, what if he comes around the corner with like some other frog bitch? that would hurt. That would fucking suck.
Oh, that'd be such a heartbreaker.
That would be terrible.
That would be so
But they
bad.
reunited. It was nice. It was a nice little moment. And that, where you're talking about the corn captain pretty much throwing Baby Yoda into the Kraken, so to speak, kind of reiterates something that I said earlier of how this whole notion of how powerful Baby Yoda is and just how valuable he is, people just do not know.
There's a lot of people that don't know.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. You could definitely tell that these guys don't care about the child at all. They just want Mando's armor.
Because if that were the case, it can literally just like... I mean, you could make the argument that they probably could have like retrieved... No, actually you can't. That you
No,
can
I mean,
retrieve it for the belly
I
for the
honestly
Empire.
think that they have no idea about this bounty on the child.
Right. And
you know
I
what
think
mean?
that's they're really kind of focusing in on that. Like we said in episode 1, the ambush, they didn't go for the baby. They went for the Beskar. Again, here, they're just going straight for the Beskar. And yeah, actually that little conversation from the first one, like I just said, when they ignored Baby Yoda and they went for the Beskar, John Leguizamo's character says like how Beskar price continues to go up.
Yes.
So I'm imagining that we're probably gonna get some more of this and just the whole notion of just how valuable it is and just how much people like. Because the one guy even says like, "We're gonna be rich, brother."
Right.
So, like,
Right. Yeah.
So like, yeah, it just this whole that again was like. Kind of like a Leo moment for him. Like again,
Yep,
they don't care about Baby Yoda. They just care about.
They just want the armor. They just want that armor. So after Baby Yoda gets knocked in and basically eaten by the Kraken, Mando, being the good dad that he is, jumps in after him, and the Quarren kind of like lock him in.
Must be nice.
Just always gotta throw one in. But yeah, so he's kind of like locked in, and they're fucking poking at him, trying to drown him, and then lo and behold, he gets saved by 3 Mandalorians that come in. Which, I mean, we'll get to this big reveal, but you know, the nice thing that I liked is after they kind of save him and the gates open up, we get the nice homage to, I guess, back to season 1 with the Mandalorian that saves Din Djarin as a kid. He reaches out to him, so I like that we got that.
Right.
But so Mando gets saved, and these 3 Mandalorians take their helmets off, which is a shock to Mando and Martin. Who do we
Like
get?
it stops Mando in his tracks.
Stops Mando in his tracks. Like what the fuck?
He's like, what the fuck?
And who do we get, Martin? Who's under
We
the
got
helmet?
Bo-Katan of Clan Kreese from Mandalore, which was awesome to see her again. It took me a second to realize that it was her, just because I think I was just kind of like in ecstasy. Where I was like,
Oh my god, it's her.
So cool. And it finally hit me like, oh my god, it's Bo. But I'm sure like some much more hardcore Star Wars nerds who literally watch Clone Wars and Rebels like a zillion times over, like immediately recognized the artwork.
Saw that and was like, oh,
saw
that's
the
her.
artwork,
Yep.
saw the which it is pretty recognizable, but like I said, it just didn't come to me at first. But yeah, she takes the helmet off. We get the scar. We get the hair. We get everything, and it was just one of the biggest like reveals in this show so far.
Right.
And it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was awesome, and we kind of get a little bit of insight into, I guess, Mando's background. You know, in learning that he is a Children of the Watch. Which is that? I guess that's not really related to like the Death Watch.
That's what I'm not entirely sure. Which I'm not because the Death Watch is like a sort of radical group that broke off.
Right, but they take their helmets off.
Right, but the thing is that they were trying to like establish the old Mandalorian ways.
Right.
So I don't know if when she said like Children of the Watch, I don't know if she was referencing to actual like Death Watch.
But wasn't Bo-Katan part of the Death Watch?
She was, but then
Yeah.
she like we saw in the one episode once essentially they like that with the episode that we saw Clone Wars of Shades of Reason and Lawless, that was like very early on. That's obviously when Darth Maul takes over, and then she kind of breaks off, and that's kind of like when she kind of has like a character sort of shift.
Yes.
But even but yeah, she was still taking off her helmet before that. So I think I'm not entirely sure, but But I do think that actually might have been Death Watch, the one that saves him as a foundling. I think the people that kind of came in and took out those old school droids and they killed his family and then rescued him
was the Death Watch.
Was Death Watch,
okay.
yeah. So I think when she said a child of the Watch, I think that she was actually referencing to Death Watch, which she was a part of like way back when. But we could be wrong.
Right. Yeah. So moving on, obviously Mando does not like that these so-called I don't think he even trusts that they are Mandalorians. That
Right, because he's like, where'd you get that armor?
Yeah, where'd you get that armor from? Yeah, so he
guy gets triggered quick.
Oh yeah, he does get triggered really quick. He's got no tolerance for any of that kind of shit.
Not up in here!
So he takes off, and basically he runs into more Quarren who, for like, you killed my brother. They have that whole back and forth, and then
Bad Boys 2. Motherfucker, you killed my brother.
So then Bo-Katan and her Mandalorians come back in. They save him yet again. And they're like, let me buy you a drink. So that's when we have like this sit down and we really get a sense of, and that was the thing that I liked about the episode is if you didn't know who Bo-Katan was before, you get a good sense in this episode of who she is. And it's very simple. You know where she comes from, who she is, and what she's after. And that's kind of all you need to know.
Which is what good storytelling is. Like, that's what I'm saying. You don't need to... That, like, the inside baseball, like, the people who watch Rebels, people who watch Clone Wars, like, it has a bigger payoff.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's definitely much more exciting, and you get, like, a bigger reaction from it. But for the people who don't, it's still just as impactful. Like, oh, these 3 Mandalorians. Oh, it's cool. This woman's kicking ass. And then you still pretty much reveal and explain, like, who the character is without necessarily needing all this other context.
Right.
But for the people who do know it, it just makes the payoff that much bigger.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing too with the sit down and we kind of have like this running question throughout the entire series of The Mandalorian as to because they reference like the Purge and
The Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yes, that's it. The Night of 1,000 Tears. So there's references to all of that, and we really don't know exactly what happened, but obviously from where these characters had left off in like Clone Wars and Rebels to where we've picked them up here, and obviously with Moff Gideon having the Darksaber, obviously he didn't have it, where we last saw it. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing. There's a lot of different questions as to, where Bo-Katan, like what her journey's been like since Clone Wars ended or Rebels ended, and like, just all these different stories.
In terms of timeline, like because remember, everything fucking Star Wars shit's always out of order.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of timeline, the last time we saw Bo-Katan, we saw her in Rebels and she had the saber. So Sabine gave her the saber. That's when he kind of took back Mandalorian away.
Right.
Sabine gave her a saber, and then everyone pretty much like pledged their allegiance to her, and she became the new ruler. So
yes.
So as of now, in terms of timeline, last that we saw her in terms of like medium,
right?
Like, not like
in medium, not
books or like in terms of like digital medium.
Yes.
Last time we saw her was like wielding the saber, but in that's in terms of timeline. But in actuality, like last time we actually did see her was in season 7, and that's when her and Ahsoka took back Mandalore from Darth Maul.
Right.
And at the time, she didn't have the saber because you got to think of like, again, timeline.
Timelines,
because that was like Revenge of the Sith time.
Right.
Whereas to Rebels is like right before New Hope.
Right. And now with Mandalorian, we are after Return of the Jedi.
Right, which I think is about 8 years later.
Yeah.
8 years after New Hope.
So like my whole thing is like what happened in
those 8 years.
Those
8 years, something happened where, Moff Gideon somehow got a hold of the Darksaber.
Yes. And with Bo-Katan, she mentions in the episode that she is the last of her kind, and I'm pretty sure she has a nephew didn't she have a nephew in the series?
Satine's son?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not entirely sure. I have to look back because I haven't season 7 I fucking crushed.
Yeah.
Like it was so good.
Right.
And then obviously Rebels, that was a while back. I have rewatched it every now and then, but I can't really recall, so I'm gonna have to look back into it. But but yeah, Satine, who was the Duchess of Mandalore, who like her and Bo-Katan didn't like their ideologies didn't really agree on shit.
Right.
So that was a lot of the conflict between that, and obviously Satine was Obi-Wan's boo.
Yes.
So yeah, so Bo-Katan has a huge, not just that, but with like you saw with Obi-Wan, with Ahsoka, like she has a big familiarity with the Jedi. So like the way they're kind of laying out these seeds, it just it makes so much sense.
I know,
like, it's really well done.
It's really cool to see how all this is playing out. And they also mentioned that, or at least from Din Djarin's perspective, that Mandalore is an uninhabitable planet that's cursed. That anyone that goes there dies. And then Bo-Katan responds, "Don't believe everything you." Basically, gives him the whole like, "Don't believe everything you hear, son."
Well, pretty much every single time we get Mandalore, there's some shit going on. Like we said when we first like used the episode that we saw like very early on, there was like the big conflicts within Mandalore before sort of Death
all the
Watch came over.
hierarchies and everything like that.
Exactly. Then we get then Darth Maul's ruling for a while. He like orchestrates this war to draw out Kenobi and Anakin, which we get like in season 7. In the Mandalorian, when we get her again, the Empire took Sabine's like blueprints for a weapon.
Yeah.
Because Sabine was originally a member of the Imperial Academy.
Okay.
And Sabine being like fucking badass, like she's super smart, knows her shit. She designed some blueprints for like this sort of this Imperial weapon that destroys Mandalorians through like their Beskar in a way. So it's like this kind of current that is attracted to the Beskar and it heats it up and it pretty much vaporizes people inside.
As you see, the arc generator's energy pulse is drawn to the Beskar alloy in the Mandalorian's armor, superheating it and instantly vaporizing the target. And all the while, doing no harm to our Imperial stormtroopers.
So like the Empire took Sabine's sort of plans and actually built it and used it against Mandalorians.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. So Mandalore's always like it's constantly like under. There's constantly a bunch of shit going on.
Right. There's always shit going on.
That's pretty much what I assume why I did was like that plan's fucking cursed. So no matter what, there's some people, there's always deaths, there's always conflicts, people are always fighting, and that's actually the last that we saw of it because after Sabine teams up with Bo-Katan and everyone and Ezra and they all pretty much kind of take over the Empire, get rid of that weapon. That's kind of like where we last leave off. That's where she gives her the saber, and that's where everyone pretty much follows Bo-Katan and.
Right.
That was like episode 2 of season 4, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So as this conversation is kind of going on between them, Bo-Katan basically asks Mando for his help, and they want to steal this. The proper term is Gazanti class Imperial ship. So I guess the Gazanti class.
And they're all chilling on top of the Razor Crest, which is really cool.
Right, but that was a pretty cool shot.
So that was some like 80s shit, chilling on top of your truck.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she wants help in basically pulling off like a heist to steal these weapons. And he reluctantly agrees, and he leaves Baby Yoda with the frog lady. And automatically, dude, my anxiety shot through the roof because I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna eat more eggs.
Oh my god, I know, me too, bro. And then we get the cool little twinkle, and we get that shot again up against the glass.
Yep.
But he says, he's like, you better behave, you know what I'm talking about. But same thing. I'm like, God, please don't eat these
Don't eat any more eggs.
Yeah.
So Mando leaves Baby Yoda with the frog people, and basically they go pull off this heist on this Imperial ship. And it's so cool to watch, just I don't know why, like every time I see like Mando come down from his jetpack, it's just like the coolest fucking thing.
Well, that
ever.
shot was incredible.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool
Which
shot.
we're going to get into the camera work a little bit later, but that looks sort of like far away, hazy shot of the ship pulling off, and then we see the four Mandos kind of coming to frame.
Right,
was fucking incredible.
Yeah, and so obviously we get a really cool action sequence of them trying to take the ship. And we come to find out that Bo-Katan does not just want the guns; she wants the entire ship, which Mando is pretty upset about because that means she's altering the deal.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Yeah, which is actually something that happens a lot in Rebels. Like
yes.
A lot of times, like in Rebels, like Ezra and the Rebels go and they pretty much like steal Imperial ship because you need it. You need stuff for your fight. So
right.
Doesn't matter where you get it from, you eventually have to get it. So, and she even says that she's like, these weapons in the ship are going to help me take back Mandalore.
Yes.
So again, some shit's going on in Mandalore that we don't really know. But yeah, it was just awesome. Again, it was very Rebels-esque or very Clone Wars-esque, very animated world of seeing just all these sort of Mandalorians taking out all these stormtroopers. I love how they use their technology, like throwing the smoke and then go into Predator vision to take them all out. And if you kind of noticed, this is the first time that Mando is like lagging.
Yeah,
he's always behind.
He's kind of behind.
Yeah, because he's like, these people know their shit. And
right.
like Mando, up to this point, he's been like the Mandalorian, the trained killer. And now we get like we got him a little bit obviously with the covert in episode 1. I mean, I'm sorry, in season 1. But we're actually getting them like in action, like you said, the close quarter combat in the corridor, and Mando like is kind of falling behind a little bit. So that's just awesome to see, like all these Mandalorians interacting and like they're sort of they're different kind of like techniques and shit.
Yes, and styles.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah, well, Mando also gets his nice moment where he basically takes the two, where like they're kind of stuck in that one corridor trying to get to the bridge of the ship. And Mando just like kind of takes two bombs.
Which
and just,
I didn't really understand because they were literally doing that the entire time.
Right.
Like they were just like they were literally methodically going through corridor, like throwing bombs and grenades and.
Well, maybe because they were just too. I guess because of how they were behind the door and like their guns, they had like those two kind of like almost like rail guns where it was more like of a rapid fire.
Maybe because they weren't like charging at them, so they couldn't probably counter the attack. I don't know.
Right.
But I was just like, bro, you guys literally just wrecked shop. You literally can't take out
these
six more stormtroopers. Like really?
I guess you gotta make it a little difficult.
I guess. And you gotta give me, like we said, Mando was lagging, so you gotta give him his moment. We gotta give him his redemption.
So as they're plowing through all these guys, they eventually make it to the bridge, and we get Titus Welver, who you recognize him from Gone Baby Gone, The Town. He's another Deadwood star that has now popped up on The Mandalorian.
He has his own show, Botch, right?
Yes, he has his own show, Botch. Mm-hmm. So it was cool seeing him as kind of like, I guess, the Imperial captain, I guess you could say. And we also get our first peek at Moff Gideon this episode, which we haven't seen him yet. So it was nice to finally see Giancarlo Esposito pop in this episode. And I do love this whole like just how brutal the Empire is, where he's like, "Oh, the ship is lost. Just you're fucked.
You know what you gotta do.
Yep, take it down."
Yeah, and credit to the one British pilot. I thought that one guy did a great job. That was just scared the whole time.
Yeah.
But I thought the way he emoted all this kind of like fear, anxiety, like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. I thought he did a really good job. Which was it was such a minimal role, but I thought he kind of stood out in a way. But yeah, something that we were saying was I think this is the first time that we saw like an actual live holographic message.
Yes.
Which was just cool to see. It's nothing major, but it's just kind of cool to see. And yeah, they eventually fight their way through. They get their weapons. Like you said, Bo-Katan is altering the deal. They break into the cockpit.
Yep.
After the captain takes out those two pilots and he's like crashing the ship, they break into the cockpit, and then we get the big reveal.
So yeah, there's actually a few big reveals. So after they're able to take the ship, Bo-Katan learns what she needs. She knows that the Darksaber is held by Moff Gideon, and
we got a nice Hail Hydra moment from the captain.
You might let me live, but he won't.
And what's cool too is that she asks, she's like, where's the saber? And then he pretty much says like, if you ask me, you already know where it is.
Right.
So like, there again, we already know that Bo-Katan kind of in a way knows that he has it.
Right.
Moff Gideon has it, and like, how did he get it?
Right. How did he get it?
Well, we'll find out.
That's the big thing. All right. So after that, then we get Din Djarin, who wants to know where the Jedi are, which I don't even think we mentioned that the whole point of the deal was that in order for Bo-Katan to get Mando to help her, she promised him that she would tell him where the Jedi are.
Oh, did we not mention that?
We didn't mention that.
Oh, shit.
Which was a pretty big point. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. So obviously he helps her out, and she gives, basically has this massive name drop.
Take the Foundling to the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. There you will find Ahsoka Tano. Tell her you were sent by Bo-Katan. And thank you.
Yeah, so it's really cool for all the Clone Wars and Rebels fans to hear that name drop. We kind of had an inkling that we were going to get this character this season, but to actually get confirmation is pretty exciting.
I actually assume that she might come in episode 5 because it hasn't really been confirmed which episode the directors are directing, unless if it has, then I might have missed it. But I just assumed that Dave Filoni was going to do episode 5, write and direct episode 5, because he did last season's episode 5. So even though we do get that awesome name drop of Ahsoka Tano and where she is, she's on a forest moon or a forest planet, which when you think of like Yoda when he exiled himself to Dagobah,
right?
Or when you think of Luke when he went to Ahch-To, it was like a green island. We always talk about green, bro. We talk about nature, like connection to life, connection to the force. So maybe even though it's a city, maybe she went to sort of like forest, inhabited planet or moon to kind of, in a way, kind of like maybe meditate, become one with the force again, kind of like, kind of getting her strength back, so to speak. Possibly. Who knows? We'll find out. But I'm not expecting to see her next episode.
Right.
I'm expecting that we're probably going to get some sort of like sidetrack mission.
Right.
And then we'll get her in episode 5. But yeah, that name drop, just like the way it was just done, like it was so good.
Yeah.
So
the way it was presented was pretty awesome. And I think this was an episode that The Mandalorian really needed. It needed a nice home run, because even though this is still kind of in the same vein of like the adventure of the week kind of deal, it still moved the main plot forward more.
Right.
I mean, you got more reveals and more of like this overall big story that the Mandalorian is trying to tell. So I'm really happy with this episode just in general, because like I think it was what this season had needed. And then, you know, after having 2 episodes that, even though we really liked the first episode, you know, it's still
in a way a filler.
You know, and we're kind of just meandering with you know the story. So to get this moving along, it's nice.
And we definitely did move the story forward because he needed to find more Mandalorians, which he did. He needed to know where the Jedi are, which he found out.
Right.
And we assume that it's going to have like later repercussions because obviously Bo-Katan is kind of like gathering shit. So whether we find out later on why she was doing it, like we can get like a little like moment down the road where she's like, oh yeah, remember when you helped me steal those shit?
Right.
It's for this because we're doing this. Obviously the question begs to differ is Sabine with Ahsoka, because last time we saw Ahsoka, her and Sabine went off to find Ezra. So there's a lot of unanswered questions that were left at the end of Rebels and Clone Wars, and the fact that they're kind of taking this new medium, this new series, to kind of continue that storytelling or possibly continue that storytelling. Like it's nuts.
Yeah,
it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely crazy.
So excited.
All right, so I guess we can now get into the director of this episode. It was Bryce Dallas Howard's sophomore effort, and she did an absolutely fantastic job.
She crushed it.
I thought she
knocked it out of the fucking park.
You know, after doing season 1 with chapter 4, which chapter 4 of season 1 is one of my least favorite episodes, but it has nothing to do with her directing. I think it's more of just the story that it tries to tell. You know, I didn't buy into the whole like Mando teaching like these like river fishermen, you know, to basically trains them for a few hours to fight against like these raiders. It reminded me a lot of like Army of Darkness. But in terms of like her direction, I thought it was pretty good. So, you know, I was always curious to see how she was going to follow it up with this season. And, you know, we didn't know who directed this episode. So we're watching it and we kept saying to ourselves, who the fuck directed this episode?
There's a lot of moments I'm like, who the fuck directed this? It's so good.
And then when it ends and we saw her name, we're like, oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah,
she did a really awesome job.
She did an amazing job. And episode 4 from last season was kind of like the first episode that kind of strayed away from the main story.
Yes.
That's like that episode kind of kicked off the 3 story of the week episodes arc, so to speak. So yeah, that was kind of like and there was a follow up to episode 3 of last season, which was like amazing. Right. That was the one that was directed by Deborah Chow.
Yeah.
Right, with all the Mandalorians and everything. So yeah, that was one of my big things aside from like when we got the announcement of the directors, there was a lot of stuff that I was looking forward to. One of them was sort of Bryce Dallas Howard's sophomore effort to see what she learned, how she can better her storytelling and directing. And yeah, I thought she did an incredible job. I thought the camera work for this episode was like probably the best we've gotten so far. Yeah. I love those kind of like angle shots looking down the corridor and having the stormtroopers run. Yeah. I love the when Din jumps into the water to save Baby Yoda, how we're getting like a point of view. Like when we first see Bo-Katan come down, we're looking through the grill. Yes. So it's like it adds to like just a sort of like point of view kind of like element to it.
And also just some really nice shots like when you know, after Mando leaves that fishing ship and he's standing on the shore looking out.
The Michael Bay shot.
And you see the 3 Mandalorians go up in the air and the ship explodes. It's a fucking beautiful shot.
Yeah, and then when Mando jumps off the ship, after he gets this information, he kind of just like free dives off. I think at that point I was like, okay, I really need to know who the fuck directed this episode because this is like incredible. And yeah, hats off to her. I think she did an amazing job. And I'm like now more excited to see what she directs moving forward.
Yeah,
whether
definitely.
it's more Star Wars or whatever.
So I was gonna say, man, she really showed like a lot of chops, and not just in like the action directing. She did a really good job of blending a lot of different tones in this episode. You know, because you have moments that are very comedic, you have moments that are very heartwarming, you have obviously the thrilling action moments, you have moments of drama. So she was able to take all these different elements and blend them all together seamlessly without it feeling like out of place. And that was like one of the best things I could say about the episode.
Right, and just continue to say. Continue to give Baz Iodine credit, the cinematographer, who I believe is doing it. He's just doing an incredible job.
Yeah, he's doing a really incredible job,
really good
for
job.
sure. And then also too, I have to shout out Louis Gosson. Man, his score has been insane this season.
So much new music, and it's not available.
I know. I don't understand why.
I keep trying to find it.
That's what makes no sense, because season 1, his music for each episode would come out the day after the episode dropped. So you would get it on Spotify, and it was the coolest thing, because I would love doing that, like watching the episode, then listening to all the music from that episode. Now they're not doing it. I don't know why.
Dude, the fucking it was all Tenet.
Yeah, it sounds so much like
everything
Tenet.
was like super jacked up, super screechy,
and the fact that
intense.
it was somewhat of a heist episode, like it just felt so.
I turned to you at one point. I'm like, bro, is this posterity? Like, what the fuck is going on? But the Banta score from the first episode, the Yoda, the Baby Yoda's theme that we got last episode. Right. Now here, all these kind of like again Tenet-like scores. I'm like, I need this.
Yeah, he's crushing it.
I fucking need this.
He's crushing it.
Release it, Disney.
Yeah, no, release it
now.
All right, so before we wrap this up, I have a few random observations. Did you notice that in the beginning, when Mando goes to that place to eat, where he gets the information about the Quarren Sea Captain, he gives what?
The inn.
Yeah, the inn, basically. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. He gives the Mon Calamari
the coins.
The coins, yeah, from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I read about that. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize. I like how they kind of brought that back.
Oh yeah, I noticed that, but I didn't really think anything.
Oh, okay, yeah, no,
I think it's just currency. I didn't realize that maybe it was a special type of currency.
Well, no, because that's what he gets paid in I think the first episode of season 1.
That's part of the guild. How like they were always guild members. That sort of Greek cargo was like sending out on like bounties and missions and shit.
Right.
I don't know if maybe all of guild members are paid in that.
Right.
So that could be an interesting thing. Maybe whenever you see that sort of currency, maybe that means it could possibly be part of a guild.
Oh, true.
But I didn't really notice it, but the fact that you're mentioning it might have been done on purpose.
Yeah, that was my thing. I thought it was just a nice little callback to season 1.
And that one Mon Calamari server or whatever sounded a lot like Akbar.
He definitely sounded a lot like Akbar.
I wonder if it was the same person who voiced Akbar. But
it's possible. It's possible. And then the other thing that I just noticed was we get another nice alien nod with Baby Yoda eating his clam chowder, and then that little face hugger comes out and grabs him, which is hysterical.
And then at the end, it was very Covenant, the big spider from Covenant.
Yeah,
we get at the end. So that again, I don't know what the fuck's going on with all these alien.
I don't know, man. There's so many alien references.
Oh, speaking of
what?
And again, these things just naturally work. We got a new member at the table.
Oh, yes.
So we have a very new member at the table. We have a new cool Xeno action figure. So the people who are listening, maybe go check out the YouTube video, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. But we got a cool little egg with a face hugger and a Xeno action figure that's got a mouth within a mouth. We just got it yesterday from Midtown Comics. So yeah, welcome to the tables,
Welcome to the table. So we're just wrapping this up. Like I said, Chapter 11, I think, was an episode that Mandalorian Season 2 desperately needed. It was a big home run. It had, I think, everything you could want, and it also really moved the plot forward while, reintroducing some fan favorite characters. And, going forward, man, they're setting up something. I think they're setting up something pretty cool, and especially if we get this season the conflict between Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon, her trying to get the Darksaber back. If that's part of this season, that's like in the finale of just this big battle of them trying to get it back. That's going to be insane, man.
And then they recruit Ahsoka Tano to everyone. It'll be Clone Wars all over again.
That's what I mean, man. Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano and Bo-Katan out here trying to fighting in Mandalore and doing all this crazy shit.
Dude.
But something else too. The more episodes we get, the more they're literally just chopping away at the marketing.
Yes.
Like we're in now. Moving forward, where the only thing that we haven't seen from the marketing were the scout troopers on the speeders and the footage that we got of Gina Carano and Grief Karga.
Yes.
Those are the only things that we haven't seen so far.
Right. Very true.
So
very true.
There's a lot of shit. I know we said this before, but there's a lot of shit we haven't seen.
Yep.
I do, again, wish the episode were a little bit longer.
Yeah. If I had to have a negative for this episode, I kind of wish it was 10 minutes longer, because where in between him getting off that fisherman ship and them going to steal the guns, I kind of wish there was a little bit more
meat.
Just a little bit more meat. A little bit more with Bo-Katan, maybe a little bit more, conversations, discussions.
A little bit more conflict.
A little bit more conflict, conflict of ideologies and things like that. You know what I mean? So I wish there was a little bit more meat to this episode, but it was still a fantastic episode.
It was still a fantastic episode, but it was really fast, like I'm sensitive. Like take your time with me.
Right.
Like let's enjoy the moment.
Whisper sweet nothings into my ear.
Exactly. Come on, just be gentle with me. But yeah. Even though it was fast and it was short, it still got everything. It still got all its points across. And again, yeah, fantastic episode. It actually might be my favorite episode so far out of the entire series.
Yeah, I would think the only episodes that I think come into play are the last 2 of season 1, because I love the last 2 of season 1.
I do too, but
Yeah.
I think this was just kind of like in terms of like the hardcore fans or like people who like are very invested in Rebels and Clone Wars. Like
really, this was a nice payoff for them.
I fell to the floor.
I know you did.
And we are not joking.
No.
Like when she drops Ahsoka Tano, my body just turned into a noodle.
Dude, I haven't seen you get that excited for something since Kat picked up Thor's hammer. I don't think you've gotten that crazy since.
So good, so good. Just like actually, Josh asked me that. He's like, "Who is that chick?" I'm like, "Oh, she's a known character." He was like, "Did you lose your mom when she popped up?" I was like, "Maybe." Who knows? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, incredible episode.
Incredible episode. All right, guys, that does it for us. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube page. And remember, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else where you can see that big, beautiful FN logo. Guys, tell us your thoughts on Chapter 11. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen going forward?
We're gonna get a filler this week.
Probably gonna get a filler this week, but
but
if it's a good filler, I'm all for it. I'll take it at this point. So, but yeah, guys, again, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.